I guess we got to pour one out for E3. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, December 15th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, announced this week, kind of shocking a lot of us. The ESA announced that the Electronic Entertainment Expo, also known as E3, has officially died. It was kind of on its last legs this year, with like Activision and PlayStation and EA been doing their own thing for quite some time. And they've kind of partnered up with Summer Games Fest, so that seems like it's going to be the outlet for video game showcases in the summertime. But yeah, they announced this week that it is officially dead. And I, for one, am going to miss having a bunch of my video game industry friends in town and being able to conglomerate here in LA and talk about video games, seeing what's coming next. Some of that might still be happening with the Keeleys in summer, but for now, I guess it's officially dead. So we've got Netflix Geeked Week, which is usually around the beginning of June. We'll probably have more Rockstar stuff to talk about come E3, but yeah, I'll probably still call like June convention gaming stuff E3 just out of habit. But I will be sad to see it go. But hopefully I'll still have an excuse to see some of my industry friends when they're in town, potentially for Summer Games Fest. So E3 will be missed. I think it ran for, over 20 years. I don't know if it was quite 30. But yeah, it's officially gone, and you will be missed, E3. Moving right along, Fortnite has reached an all-time high of concurrent users. Actually, probably not an all-time high, but its concurrent users is quite high this week, with 7.6 million, according to Fortnite stats, I think was the name of the website. But what this is mainly probably attributed to is the fact that Lego Fortnite, I've seen a bunch of that stuff hitting my feed, which looks kind of good, actually. It might be a good survival game to play with a group of friends, but there's Lego Fortnite is out. They have the Rocket Battles game mode, which is basically just Rocket League and Fortnite. They also have, I don't know what it's officially called, but like a Melody Fortnite where people can play kind of rhythm-based games. And some developers are actually calling it Fortnite 2, even though not officially called that, but it's quite rebooted. So I'm curious. I'm curious what you all think. If is this Fortnite 2? Do I have to jump in and play Lego Fortnite with some of my friends? Potentially. I might hop in, just to see how the Rocket League version is, and I really want to get into the Lego Fortnite stuff because it seems deep and interesting, and I'm very intrigued by it. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Not quite officially the games industry, but Hasbro has cut 30% of its job force, quoting about 1,100 jobs. Seemingly from the D&D and Magic sectors of Hasbro, but they quoted that most of it is due to poor toy sales, which I could kind of see, and I would think the D&D and Magic are the most profitable parts of the company, but it seems like, or at least the vocal minority maybe, are coming from the D&D and Magic sectors, with the Baldur's Gate Larian even saying like a lot of the people they reached out to figure out about D&D are all gone. So like, yeah, I guess it was quite surprising, quite shocking to a lot of us, and not quite what you can throw on to the like 7,000 or so video games jobs that were lost this year. But yeah, Hasbro has taken a big cut on losses. So if you have any friends at Hasbro, feel free to reach out, or you should probably reach out to them to see if they made it through okay. One of the other things that, while digging around on the subject, people have been talking about the comp, and you gotta hate it when a CEO talks about massive layoffs and all that, but it's still comped like $10 million for the total year. I think the salary is only $1 or $2 million, but total compensation is up. He's gotten more than that through bonuses and stock options and all that kind of stuff, which it's kind of gross. I know that like Nintendo, when they were doing bad, the CEO took like a pay cut, and you would like to think that that is happening when companies aren't doing well financially, but apparently not the case at Hasbro. Not quite the Bobby Kotick levels of like getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars, even though they keep cutting 20 or 30% of their workforce at Activision. But yeah, it's still kind of egregious and gross to see. So if you have any Hasbro friends, I'm sorry to hear. Hope they made it through, and if they haven't, I'm sorry to hear that. The people over at Circana, or previously known as NPD, have released the year-to-date top 20 list. I only have the top 10 written down here, but the number 1 slot will surprise you. The number 10 slot is Starfield. Number 9 is Mortal Kombat 1. Number 8 is Jedi Survivor. Number 7 is actually last year's Call of Duty game. Number 6 is Diablo 4. And then the top 5 are Madden, Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, shocker, Call of Duty, and at the top of the list is Hogwarts Legacy. Happy to see that there. I think this is the first time in potentially a couple decades that Call of Duty has not been at the top of the year-to-date sales list heading into December. I actually think maybe there's an asterisk on that. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was bigger than Call of Duty that year in 2018, but don't quote me on that. And it's also not quite apples to apples. Hogwarts Legacy has been out since February for current gen, and like May for old gen consoles, and the Switch port I think is either out or coming out soon. So Hogwarts Legacy has had quite a several months of head start, but it is still surprising. There's been a lot of really big games that have come out this year and in previous years that Call of Duty was still able to beat. So I for one am semi-happy about it. I know that a lot of people were shitting on this year's Call of Duty, so I would expect that sales are probably down year over year. But happy to see Hogwarts Legacy at the list, and there's still a whole December to worry about. Call of Duty is still at the peak of its curve, or it's still decaying off launch, whereas Hogwarts is probably pretty flat other than holiday boosts. So I'm still very curious to see whether or not Call of Duty is able to eke one out, but I'm hoping for Hogwarts Legacy, and I'll be talking about it again in June or in January when we see the end of the year full year recap from NPD. The Last of Us multiplayer game was officially announced as dead this week. Naughty Dog has said that it was taking away a lot of resources from 2 upcoming single player games, and so they wanted to devote their resources to those as opposed to this multiplayer game. They just couldn't get their heads around it. I was semi looking forward to it as one of the probably 10 people who've ever played Last of Us multiplayer. I actually kind of enjoyed it a little bit. And so I was very curious what they were going to do with like I think it was supposed to be like a Firefly game for the Firefly, rebel group in the game. So I was kind of curious what was going to happen there, but it seems they want to devote those resources to other projects. And this coming in December seems like it's a kind of end of year. They can close the books on something and save a little money. My finance friends will probably be able to tell me how that actually works because I don't quite get it. But if they divest that and spread it out, there's a good financial word for you. If they divest the spending on that and hide it or whatever and close it on, maybe they can write it off at the end of the year, however that works. But we will not be seeing a Last of Us multiplayer game anytime soon, if at all. The Google v. Epic case has officially been ruled on. That was the talk of the town. Almost for a year now, I think. The Google v. Epic case. And for those of you who don't remember, let's go back to the beginning. Whenever this started, I think it was at least a year ago, Epic was officially selling, I think, V-Buck packs for like $8 if you bought it directly from Epic, or at $10 if you bought it from the Google store because Google gets 30% of it. And so they were getting a slightly larger cut by undercutting Google if they bought directly via Epic. That started this whole case that's been running for several years, or I don't know if it's several years. I really should have looked up when it started, but it's been running for quite some time now. And the ruling was actually in Epic's favor. So the judge found that Google has a monopoly on the Google store, which feels a little bit weird and counterintuitive, but Yeah, so I think this is hopefully going to help other developers make a little bit more money, not have to pay Google as much of a share. It's very surprising that in this day and age that Google and Apple still get 20, or Steam even get 30% just straight off the top. It doesn't quite make sense. A lot of I mean, it's been a race to the bottom on the other PC retailers for quite some time. I think Epic only takes like 10%. I think I don't know if GOG takes that much off the top. But yeah, it's been, and they've kind of been working on developers, for your first million, it's less. And then for every unit past that, maybe it gets more. So they've been working with smaller developers to make sure that they get a bigger cut. I think Valve has actually started to work on that now, but anyway, I digress. Epic has won the case, and so potentially this will help them win the case, I believe, against Apple, because they have the same case very similarly to what they did with Google, where on the Apple Store, they were charging $8 direct or $10 through Apple, and potentially they could win that case too, and again open up a whole bunch of development where developers can get more money on the App Store by not having to pay those royalty fees on those stores. So good job, Epic. I don't often give a round of applause to Tim Sweeney, but I think this will be ultimately better for smaller developers trying to make content on those two mobile platforms. Yeah. So good job to Epic. 'Tis the season, and why I'm always wearing my hat in the month of December. I saw a list from PlayStation Blog that just had a series of studios with like almost holiday card like images from each of the studios. The one that caught my eye was the Naughty Dog one. That was just kind of cool to see all the cartoony versions of all the Naughty Dog characters. Yeah, I think it was, and it's not just PlayStation Studios. There was like Square Enix on there and a bunch of other studios. So yeah, good holiday spirit booster that you can check out. I'll have a link down below in the description. As with it being the end of the year, it's always good to see your year in review. So all of the different console manufacturers, if you have an account with them, you can plug in your account name and it'll kind of give you like what you played on the console this year. It was actually kind of surprising that I only played like 50 hours or so on my Switch, even though I'm pretty sure like 99% of that was just playing Zelda. It was funny because it came up and said like your biggest month of playing was in May, and I was just like, oh, you mean when Tears of the Kingdom came out? So yeah, I think most of my time was dedicated to playing Tears of the Kingdom, which I still haven't finished and probably need to. But it was just kind of cool to see PlayStation, all the games I played on that this year. I think the biggest one on that for me was, I don't know if it was Jedi or not. I've been playing a lot of Alan Wake 2, played a little bit of It Takes Two, played that a lot. Yeah, anyway, you can plug in your accounts on any of your consoles and see how much you played. I think across all that, I have played probably like 3 or 4. I think it was like 300 hours across all the consoles, which is actually interesting because I haven't done it for like PC. I don't know if Steam does the same thing. But having put 400 hours into Baldur's Gate, you can tell where I put which console I was using this year, and it wasn't a console. So yeah, feel free to plug those in. I'll have links down below to each of the different platforms, so you can check out your stats for the year down there. As someone with arachnophobia, it was pretty interesting to see arachnophobia popping up in my feed. Lethal Company's been on fire recently, and very exciting game that even my friends are playing, but I gotta hop in on. But they have a new arachnophobia filter added, and it looks and it's not quite the grounded approach, the Obsidian game Grounded, where you have like a floating white ball and it's kind of attacking you that way. Nope, they went very simple and clean. Rather than having a spider running around, which is apparently one of the enemies in the game, you will have just the word spider in like a word art format, and that's what the spider is. It's not, you won't see any spiders, no trigger warning for no spiders or anything. You will see just the word spider running at you and killing you. So very simple and hopefully beneficial approach to those with arachnophobia. last but not least this week, we actually have a game launching. Launching into 1.0. Against the Storm has been in early access for over a year now. I believe it originally launched in November of last year. Against the Storm is a highly regarded roguelike city builder. And as someone who played a city builder recently and didn't quite enjoy it, I'm looking for something to really scratch that itch. And I've only heard good things, even throughout the early access period. I've heard really good things. It launched into 1.0 this week, and it's got a 95 Metacritic. I don't know that that's quite competing with Baldur's Gate 3's Metacritic, which I think was like 96 or 97. But 95 is still really good, and would allude to something you should be playing. So I got to look into the price. Hopefully at the Steam Winter Sale, I'll be able to get a discount on it. But yeah, very much looking forward to hopping in against the Storm, especially given that Metacritic score. So hopefully I can start building my city of, it's all a bunch of different creatures. It's like there's rat people, and I think there's tree people and wolf peoples and humans, and yeah, looking forward to jumping into a fantasy roguelike city builder sometime soon. If you have played it, let me know down in the comments what you thought of it so far and how much changed since you started playing in this 1.0 launch period. But that's it for this week. Let me know if you feel I forgot anything down below in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!